First, what is contingency? And what is a song? Actually, the second one's easy. Let's try that again. What is contingency? A contingency is a potential future event or circumstance that might occur but is not guaranteed. It broadly refers to a future emergency, possibility, or condition that needs to be prepared for. Basically, it's something you can't be sure will happen or not. For example, an everyday contingency could be that you are going to the grocery store. You don't know for sure, but you might. Contingency is most commonly used in business, risk management, law, and real estate situations. But today, we'll be looking at Contingency Song by Jane Remover. The first line of the track is, "I moved away." We open with a line that can be read in two very different ways. If it's being said hopefully, moving away symbolizes escape, a fresh start, leaving behind toxic people, painful memories, or an old version of yourself. But if it's nostalgic, it becomes about leaving behind something you loved, or being forced to leave good things where they are. Also, Jane doesn't emphasize this line emotionally. It's stated like a simple fact, and that monotony matters. It suggests that whatever the move was supposed to accomplish, it didn't. Maybe the speaker left hoping to escape something, only to realize the thing they were running from was themselves, or that their pain was never tied to a location in the first place. With the rotten taste. This immediately destroys any optimism the first line might have created. Instead of going to bed feeling refreshed after this new beginning, hopeful about what's to come, Jane sleeps with a rotten taste, which could have several meanings. It could represent guilt after leaving someone or something behind, regret over a decision that can't be undone, or the lingering emotional decay that follows someone into every new environment. That feeling of missing what you had, even if it wasn't good. The word rotten is especially important. Rot isn't something that appears overnight. It's the result of something slowly deteriorating over time. That suggests these feelings didn't begin with the move itself. That could mean that the move simply exposed whatever was decaying inside Jane that had already been there for a long time. He lied when he said I was worth it immediately reveals Jane's relationship with love and self-worth. Someone reassured her that she was worth the sacrifice, effort, or pain. Rather than accepting that love, she assumes they were lying because her self-worth is so low. What's especially telling is the word lied. She doesn't think they were mistaken or that their feelings changed over time. She believes they were never telling the truth to begin with. She believes that her being worth anything is a lie. It suggests her self-image is so damaged that she literally cannot imagine someone genuinely believing she matters. There's also an element of hindsight here. The relationship may have ended or at least changed, causing her to reinterpret everything that came before it. What may once have felt like sincere affection could now be actively being rewritten in her mind as dishonesty, which is a common response after heartbreak. Looking back and wondering if any of the things a partner said were ever real. Also, this is a common theme in Census designated. Low self-esteem, I mean. You see it in lines like, "And I bet she's so lucky to have a voice like that," "And all my life I've been waiting for my new limbs to come in," and "How much longer till I'm truly alone." This all is fascinating because it could be completely detached from the previous line. One reading is that it just completes the sentence, "He lied when he said I was worth it all." But because Jane separates it, it lingers on its own. That pause forces you to sit with the weight of the word and interpret it on its own. You suddenly notice that all could be much broader than just the relationship. It could be all. It could represent every sacrifice, every painful experience, and every compromise. Jane isn't just questioning whether she was worth something, she's questioning whether she was worth anything at all. The isolation also could be mirroring Jane's social positioning at the moment. She's alone, or at least lonely, and following what I said before, not worth anything at all. In her own eyes, and possibly everyone else's, which would explain the isolation. After such a definitive accusation, "He lied," there's a moment of silence before this single word lands. It makes the last line, as well as itself, feel incomplete, reflecting how Jane's sense of self seems equally undone in a way. Jane looks back on everything that's happened with a sense of regret. Rather than feeling proud of how she's changed, she's afraid those changes came at the expense of her own identity. Instead of becoming a healthier version of herself, she may have simply become someone she no longer recognizes. The word only is what makes this line kind of heartbreaking as well. It implies that something else was supposed to change. Maybe Jane hoped the relationship would improve. Maybe she wanted her partner to change, or for the environment around her to become healthier. Instead, the only thing that changed was her. She bent, adapted, and reshaped herself while everything around her stayed exactly the same. That makes the line feel almost like a realization. After everything she went through trying to fix the situation, she's left wondering if all she really accomplished was losing parts of herself.
Because I'm not into the original.
This line explains why Jane believes she changed in the first place. The original refers to her authentic self, or the version of her from before she started trying to meet her partner's expectations. By calling herself the original, it almost sounds as though she's been rewritten or replaced, as if the person she is now is only a modified version of who she used to be. It also gives context to the previous lyric. Jane isn't changing because she wants to grow, she's changing because she believes the person she loves wasn't interested in who she naturally was. Whether that's actually true, or simply how Jane perceives the relationship, is left ambiguous. But either way, the effect is the same. She feels like loving this person required or requires abandoning parts of herself. Also, Jane doesn't say because you didn't love the original. She says because you're not into the original. It's more casual and almost emotionally detached. Like even if the person does love Jane, which is unlikely, they don't like her. At least not who she really is. It makes the rejection feel less like just a failed relationship and more like the crushing realization that the real version of herself simply wasn't desirable enough to this person, pushing her to become someone else in hopes of finally being loved.
And if I saw what he sees.
Up until now, Jane has been relying on someone else's perception of her. Earlier, she says he lied when I said I was worth it all. Now, she's imagining what it would be like to actually see herself through his eyes. The implication is that she can't. She either doesn't believe there's anything worth seeing, or she just believes that if she could see what he sees, she'd realize he was mistaken, which we see possible evidence of in He Lied When He Said I Was Worth It / all. It's the perspective of someone who fundamentally distrusts compliments.
No love with mine, 'cause deep into a clean face.
A clean face could symbolize innocence, being undamaged, and things of that nature. Cutting deep implies emotional or physical damage. Jane's essentially saying that everyone who becomes involved with her romantically hurts her, and that they're adding to the scars or injuries she's already collected. No lover of hers, people romantically involved with her, cuts deep, hurt her, into a clean face, just adding to the existing pain or damage she had before them.
Now he's just like me.
Earlier, Jane believed she was the damaged one. Now she's saying the other person has become damaged too. Whether through insecurity, obsession, or emotional damage, they've started resembling her. If her partner once saw beauty or hope in her, now he's inherited the same broken worldview, almost like her pain has spread to him. Just like all from earlier, one word completely reframes the previous line. How is he just like her, and who's delusional? Does she mean that she is delusional, and now he's just like her, the same way? Well, there are two possibilities. Assuming this line is connected to the previous, first, Jane could be calling herself delusional, thinking she's imagined the love this man has for her entirely. Second, Jane could be calling him delusional. She doesn't think someone could genuinely love her without being mistaken, which means, to her, if he thinks she's lovable, then he's delusional. On the surface, this seems like a complete, simple statement. I said I'm not in love. Jane is saying that she is not in love, either with this man or anyone. Now, the repetition signals that she's trying to convince herself of this rather than it actually being true, rather than just conveying the message. It sounds less like honesty and more like denial, a defense mechanism. The repetition weakens the statement. If it were true, she wouldn't need to keep insisting. By the third repetition, it feels desperate. She's trying to suppress her feelings because, as we saw in the line, no lover of mine cuts deep into a clean face. Love and showing love has only led to pain for Jane. I'm unsure if I've spoken about this before, but I used to do a similar thing when I was younger. I used to be scared of dogs, although I love dogs now, and my mother told me that without being told to do this, to succumb this fear, I would say, I'm not scared, I'm not scared, I'm not scared. Obviously, I was scared of dogs, but saying that would kind of convince myself that I was not. Jane is doing a similar thing here to put that into perspective for you. The emotional wall that Jane set up before with "I said I'm not in love" immediately crumbles here. Despite insisting she's not in love, she's not in love, she's not in love, what she really fears is being hurt. This is the emotional truth beneath all the denial and blockage she tried to put up. She's terrified of abandonment or betrayal. This could be a core fear for her, or something that she fears specifically with the man spoken about in this song, because she already seems to believe he doesn't really care about her. He lied when he said she was worth it, he's cutting into her already scarred face, and more. She didn't want to say she was in love because that would make her vulnerable and open to receive damage, but now that she is vulnerable, she's pleading for him to not prove her worst fears right, to not take advantage of that vulnerability and really hurt her now that he can't. Youth often represents innocence, excitement, or idealized love. So in this line, Jane could be asking whether being with her makes her partner relive those feelings. Throughout Census Designated, Jane rarely centers herself. Instead, she's constantly wondering what other people think of her. He lied when he said I was worth it all, and if I saw what he sees, and more. This line continues that pattern. Even during an intimate moment, her concern isn't her own experience. She's focused entirely on what the other person is getting out of it. With the previous line, "Do you feel young again?" Jane wonders whether being with her allows him to recapture something he's lost. She's essentially asking, am I making you feel something you haven't felt in years? There's sadness in that question. She isn't asking because she's happy she can provide that feeling. She's asking because she's worried that's the only reason he's with her. Or maybe because she feels to be loved, she has to provide something. When you're on top of me, well, on top of me is an obvious reference to physical intimacy. The wording also highlights the imbalance between them. Being physically on top naturally creates an image of one person having more control or dominance in the moment. That imagery fits with the rest of the song, where Jane consistently places herself beneath other people's judgments, desires, and perceptions. Earlier on the album in Flynn, she says, I let him do the talking. Now, even in intimacy, her focus remains on his experience rather than hers. I think this is one of the smartest lines Jane has ever written because it's built around a paradox. At first, I can't be taken if I give it away almost sounds empowering, like you can't steal something I've already chosen to give. But in the context of the song, I don't think it's empowerment at all. I think it's more of a survival strategy. Taken has multiple meanings here. It could mean having your body, love, innocence, trust, or something precious taken from you. The beauty of the lyric is that it doesn't specify. It works for almost every kind of vulnerability. Then there's if I give it away. Normally, giving something away is generous. Here, it feels defensive. Jane isn't giving because she freely wants to. She's giving because she believes it protects her. It's almost like saying, if I choose to lose it, then nobody can take it from me. Nobody can make me lose it. It's control through surrender. Jane realizes she can't always control what people do, but she can control when she surrenders. So instead of waiting for someone to hurt her, she hurts herself first. Instead of waiting for someone to leave, she emotionally gives herself away before they have the chance. Instead of risking having something stolen, she hands it over voluntarily. It's an illusion of control. The genius annotation by Griffyyy for this line reads, "A horrifically sad way of describing giving in. If you convince yourself that you're the one giving it away, then you're not being taken. In other words, making yourself okay with succumbing to someone else's demands." In this line, she begins fragmenting herself emotionally. Chop myself up suggests dismantling her identity, while shut myself out describes emotional isolation or disassociation. Instead of processing the pain she's going through, she disconnects from herself and disassociates. The emotional exhaustion we've been hearing about becomes physical. She's pushed herself so far into numbness that even her body starts giving out. She's experiencing burnout, depression, and total emotional collapse. This appears to reference self-harm or deliberately testing whether she can still feel physically. She confirms that her sense of touch remains, and touch myself can also imply trying to comfort herself or reconnect with her own body after becoming emotionally detached. Even something that once provided comfort, release, or distraction no longer works. This is probably emotional anhedonia, the loss of interest in things that once helped. She's eating, but she's talking about it mechanically rather than it being a normal act or satisfying even. She's forcing herself to meet the bare minimum for survival. She's still technically functioning. She can eat, she can speak, but only barely. Finally, the song ends with complete exhaustion. After trying to become someone else, denying love, fearing abandonment, isolating herself, hurting herself, being hurt, being taken advantage of, and forcing herself through daily life, she's reached a point where she simply doesn't believe she has anything left. Rather than a dramatic outburst, it's a quiet surrender, a recognition that she's emotionally depleted and struggling to continue if she can at all. That's Contingency song. Thank you for watching, and bye guys.